Katai is without a doubt, I think, my favorite character. At the very least, my favorite character outside of the main duo, because Komi and Tadano, I mean, they're self-explanatory. They are, without a doubt, best boy, best girl, the couple that we're all rooting for. But in terms of, like, side characters and the characters who are interacting with them, Katai just immediately stood out, man. And it's no real surprise, especially if you've been watching the videos, in terms of who I tend to appreciate the most in this cast. It does tend to be the characters who aren't necessarily trying to put down or hurt Tadano or making fun of him for just being average, but more so generally supportive characters, or in the case of Katai, someone who actually looks up to Tadano. And I think the reason being is that, this cast, it's very large, right? Sometimes I think the personalities work well, other times I think they're too extreme. But the characters who I think belittle or put down or at the very least push away Tadano, to me, they never really stand out in a positive way because as we've been following this show for 18 episodes or so now at this point, right? So to see anyone treat Tadano like scum or think he's not perfect to be around someone like Komi, when he's the only one to truly, truly understand her basically 99.9% of the time, it's pretty obvious why I'd be like, God damn, they're the assholes in this situation. So the characters, and there's a handful, right? I mean, I think it's Otori is her name. I like her. I like the kind of like niceness, the soft-spoken voice. Of course, you have the million-friend Menace, who, even though is technically someone who belittles our boy, also is, like, probably one of the bigger supporters of the Komi x Tadano ship, right? So it's not like there isn't anyone who supports, right? There is a small handful, but for the most part, the group belittles. And for me, the characters who go out of their way to support said relationship, or at the very least, put the other two, not just Komi, but Tadano as well as, like, on this almost king pedestal, I really appreciate. So, even though Katai doesn't actually want to date Tadano, and it's a lot of misunderstandings, like, okay, well, if the queen, master over here, is holding his hand skating, that means that's how I'll learn how to skate. It's not that he's actually, like, wanting to be in love with the guy or anything, but it doesn't change the fact that he's unofficially running for best girl status without even realizing it, though Komi, I think, kind of realizes it, and I kind of feel like even though she's scared of it, it might have awoken something in her to see those scenes. But I love the fact that out of the 2 episodes that I watched here, I watched episode 5, episode 6, got a little busy last week, so I didn't cover episode 5, but honestly, episode 5, while an enjoyable episode, 6 to me blew it out of the water, because as soon as Katai took over the screen, it was almost immediately a perfect episode for me. I love the fact that this guy, he just wants to hang out with someone who he genuinely respects and wants to be friends with, good friends anyway, and then just the idea that he wanted to be alone, but of course, he's going to invite some other people. Oh my god, how can it be Master? And then just the shenanigans taking place of how he wants to lead them and have them follow him as he's sliding on his ass because he can't skate, and just the numerous sweet moments, man, just really brings a grin to my face, as then they so seamlessly transition into sick Tadano, and then in comes Komi doing the lewdest of things, holding the hand when he's sleeping. I'm just like, it's fantastic. But I love the fact that she, like, just cares about him so much, right? The fact that if this was any other friend, right, she would not be alone in a room, like, hand feeding into his mouth, or her mouth, whoever it is. Like, the fact that she went that above and beyond, like, she might go with other people to look after someone who's sick, but that level of compassion, man, it just continues to flex why they're the best pairing. And then even the joke of the sisters smelling a woman's scent, I thought was a fantastic addition to that. But just, it was really fun. Like, even with episode 5, right, there was a lot of, like, cute little moments. Like, I love the fact that they have a snowball fight. I love the snowman building. I love the fact that they go into, like, the shrine stuff, and the fact that they reintroduce her grandmother, who honestly might be one of the most frightening characters in the show. And she's kind of, like, unexpectedly scary because, like, she does things that seem nice on paper, but then actually are kind of a little twisted, like the card game they're playing or whatever they're playing there. For every, like, 100 points or whatever they score, it's like an extra $1 into their New Year's money, but for every 100 points they lose, it's $1 subtractive, and I'm like, Grandma out here trying to, like, make her New Year's expenses as small as they can be. It was just cool to see, like, the little moments such as those, or even just, like, the funny jokes where, like, you have people who are literally in Hawaii, and then you drop Komi's name, and you know damn well they're about to get on a flight to go see Komi. It's like, you could see Komi anytime, but you're gonna abandon the Hawaii vacation for the snowy wonderland, huh? leave it to the show, right? Overall, season 2 doesn't feel like it's really doing anything too crazy in terms of being different of what season 1 laid out. Sometimes when you get into the second season, the quality massively jumps, or in some cases can massively drop. But Komi's been a pretty consistent show, probably episode 7 of season 1, all the way now to episode 6 of season 2. And that's not a bad thing in the slightest. It does feel like it's getting a bit more into the groove and the swing of things, especially when it comes to balancing the cast, and even not shitting on Tadano as much as they used to. But at the same time, I appreciate the fact that when it does come to new characters that get introduced, they immediately stand above characters we've known, or at the very least have witnessed since episode 1 of season 1, right? And that's fun to me. I'm liking this a lot. It's one of those shows that it's hard to say how many episodes I'd actually want to watch, because this is a show that could run for 5 more seasons. Maybe we'll never get another court, right? It's hard to say with shows like these, especially when you don't know how well everything's doing in terms of profits, but this is something that I could at the very least, say if they announce a season 3 or part 2, whatever the hell they're calling these anymore, right? Sometimes they call them split course, sometimes they call them season 2s, right? But at the very least, if they were to announce that, hey, we're going to do another 24 episodes split into 2 batches, I'd be ready for it. But at the same time, there's only so much belittling and putting down the Komi x Tadano relationship that I'd be able to handle. So it might get into the way of I would rather binge the show when it's over than watch in a weekly format sort of a thing, because taking a look at episodes 5 and 6, right, works quite well in a 2-episode format for me. I have my favorite points, that being kind of the second half of episode 6, and I enjoy the other points. So it's an interesting conundrum for me, because it's one of those things that I want at the very least eventually see them in an official relationship, but I do think after this season, I wouldn't be shocked if I was more in the binge camp, whether that's binging the manga or binging the anime sort of a thing. At the very least, though, I'm glad this has been a consistent show that does surprise me sometimes with its visual details and just the characters looking in the distance and stuff. A few shows this season, the fact that we're getting the snow episodes, the festival episodes, what should be New Year's, the fact that we're getting that at the midway point, it's almost like anime's trying to break away from the trend and trope of ending things with the festival or, the kimonos and things like that. Which is great in my opinion, because I love those episodes, but it does feel a little tiring when it's the same season finale for a lot of school-based shows, and that's pretty fun to see so many, in this season in particular, over the last couple of weeks, do the exact same thing. It does point to good things to come in the anime medium, or maybe I'm just, doing a little wish fulfillment here, but it's good to see nonetheless. But good stuff, enjoying it a lot, without a doubt. Komi, Tadano, best 2 characters for sure, but it's hard not to think of Katai as the unofficial best boy, sometimes best girl unexpectedly as well, when he is on screen. But thoughts if you have any, either on last week's episode, this week's, let me know what you're feeling down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Till next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.